And that phrase must be catching on, at least for Texas Wesleyan's baseball coach Mike Jeffcoat. So according to the Houston Chronicle, Jeffcoat sent an email to a Colorado high school prospect saying the following. Not kidding here. Thanks for the interest in our program. Unfortunately, we are not recruiting players from the state of Colorado. In the past, players have had trouble passing our drug test. We made a decision to not take a chance on student athletes from your state. You can thank your liberal politicians. Best of luck wherever you decide to play. So the university said it's conducting an investigation into the matter. This is real life Will Kane, who joins the conversation now. Good to see you, as always. But you know where I'm starting. Stephen A., your reaction to what this coach said?
I think Coach Mike Jeffcoat should be suspended immediately. And I think that his tenure at the university should be open for debate, and at least there should be a meeting or discussion amongst the powers that be. Is this the man that you want representing anybody's program? Let's take something into consideration here. The athlete that he sent this letter to, there was no indication that this kid had any kind of checkered past whatsoever. The coach, the high school coach for the player, said the player has never been involved in any kind of incidences or trouble of any kind. So what we have is a situation where coach has engaged in a flagrant level of bias, and it's toward an entire state just because of their marijuana rule, its legalization. And so as a result of it, you've gone about the business of denying a potential opportunity to a kid and essentially stereotyping him simply because of the state in which he's from, while obviously making it political by saying you can thank your liberal politician. So clearly he's not liberal. Clearly he's against, legalizing marijuana, and there's certainly nothing wrong with him being against its legalization. But being against its legalization is one thing. Stereotyping a kid just because he's from a state that allows its legalization is an entirely different matter altogether. I don't know what kind of prejudice that is when you're against a state, okay? But whatever it is, it has no place. That works, Max. It has no place. There's no place for a college coach taking that position. And as far as I'm concerned, he should be suspended immediately. And I would strongly consider relieving him of his duties at Texas Wesleyan for his comments.
Stephen A., I know how strongly you have to feel about it in order for you to say that, because you don't call for someone's job lightly.
I don't.
And I won't call for his job here. This is how the guy makes a living. And I won't even call him stupid and make an ad hominem attack. However, I will say that almost every part of his letter was idiotic. And now this is public, and he has to live with the shame of being perceived as an idiot, or at least making idiotic point after point after point. Jeffcoat, you're just wrong. Do you understand how wrong you are on the facts across a variety of issues here? First of all, let's start with the politics. Thank your liberal politicians. What do you think? There aren't conservative thinkers who are pro-legalizing marijuana? Libertarian-leaning people who are pro-legalizing marijuana? There are. This is not a conservative or liberal issue. Two, the reason there is a prohibition against marijuana, I have to say this loud every time so everyone can hear, is based on nonsense, propaganda, lies, and racism. Harry S. Anslinger, the original drug czar of this country, was looking for a political issue at that time in the 30s, and he came up with marijuana. And this was government-issued statements from Anslinger. It makes the darker races feel that they're the equal to the white man, etc. It was, and they came up with fake scientific studies that were not true, and they came up with propaganda films that were not true, that made it seem as though marijuana would make people go crazy. Everything lies. Just to be clear, Jeffcoat, who I won't call you an idiot, but every utterance in that statement was idiotic. Every single study ever done on the comparison of marijuana to alcohol yields the same result. Neither one is good for you in excess. Alcohol has far greater damage, slightly to the individual, far greater in terms of societal damage. So, Your understanding on the issue is completely lacking. Also, it is legal in Colorado. That is true. It's not legal in your state. Fine, whatever. Your institution chooses to give a test that includes for marijuana. You do not have to make that decision. There is no... A test for marijuana shouldn't exist. There are all kinds of things that shouldn't be in someone's system, whether or not marijuana is one of them, that are not tested for. The choice is made to test for marijuana. Would you have a problem if alcohol showed up in someone's bloodstream? If your argument is, well, alcohol is legal and marijuana isn't, the answer to that is clearly, on all thinking people, if alcohol is, so should marijuana. Furthermore, it is legal in some states, just not in yours. And so every single part of this argument is absurd, idiotic, and Jeffcoat here has not only told on himself, but he's played himself and publicly humiliated himself.
One thing you missed, Max, also, as much as it pains me to admit it, you know, the laws in Colorado are not the result of their liberal politicians, at least when it comes to the legalization of marijuana. It was a referendum by the people. It was a popular vote in Colorado. So those laws are due to the people of Colorado. What did you call it, Max, when Stephen A. was talking? You guys were both talking. Did you call it statist? Is that what you called it?
You said hatism or something.
Statism.
Okay.
Okay, look, here's the main thing. It's two things. It's faulty, it's bad, it's horrendous logic on two main fronts. Number one, let's just play the odds for a minute. Let's just suggest that teen marijuana use is higher in Colorado. First of all, the studies don't necessarily suggest that. They don't suggest that they've gone up since it's been legalized. So I don't know what odds he's playing to suggest players from Colorado have a better chance of testing positive for marijuana, something that is against the rules of Texas Wesleyan. I think he's got faulty odds, but more importantly, he's got faulty logic. Here's the problem that Coach Jeffcoat has made. And this is something I try to pride myself on, but judge people by their actions and as individuals. What is this kid guilty of? What is he guilty of? Being born in the wrong state, according to Coach Jefferson's estimation? Being born in the state of Colorado where marijuana is legal? He's not responsible for that. He didn't choose where he was born, and he most certainly didn't choose the decisions by adults of voting age in the state of Colorado who chose to legalize marijuana. A, he didn't choose where he was born. B, he didn't choose these laws. Number three, C, it's bad odds. It's bad odds that somehow you're suggesting because you recruit a player from Colorado, there's a better likelihood that he's going to test positive for marijuana. I don't think Coach Jeffcoat's logic holds up here. I don't think I'm going to call for his job either, like Stephen A. has done, but I don't think his logic is anything to write home about.
Well, let me tell you why I take the position that I take, which is stronger than the both of you in that regard. It's because you're denying a kid the opportunity, and you have no sensitivity to the kid whatsoever. Think about this for a second. If you're a kid that wants to play for the program, this is where you want to get your college education. This is the program that you want to represent. You might want to be near home, near family and loved ones and what have you. I'm denying you the opportunity strictly because of the state that you were born in, making the assumption that I'm probably going to have a weed problem when it pertains to you, more probably than not. And I might be innocent of such things. How is it that you can make that decision oblivious or just totally desensitized to the kind of impact that could have on someone completely innocent of what you're disseminating, but in the same breath, you get to sit back in the comforts of your office on this college campus and use that as an excuse to deny that person an opportunity. You're making the assumption, and that's wrong. That's wrong. That's why I take that position.
I think Stephen A. has a legitimate argument. I just wouldn't make it because I take calling for someone's livelihood very seriously. Stephen A., as I know you do also, and Will, you do also. And I wouldn't do it here. I would say as it relates to the liberal politicians, this kid who's been discriminated against in this way, Stephen A., seems to be on the altar of this coach making some kind of socially conservative point. Maybe,
can I ask you two a question real quick? You two a question real quick. Is discrimination grounds for suspension or dismissal in the workplace?
Yes.
I want to take that. I want to take that.
All right. Didn't he just do that?
Hold on. Hold on, though. Hold on. Yes, it is. But see, I think we have a tendency, and I don't think you do, Stephen A., but I think we have a tendency in the media, certainly today, and actually it's not limited to the media, it's everybody in society, to go ahead and prove how against something we are by calling for the harshest punishment. Okay. I hate trespassing. Right. I hate it too. So I want the death penalty for it. Whoa, you're really against trespassing. Here's the thing. Not all discrimination is the same, Stephen A. Discrimination by itself, by the way, isn't necessarily a problem. Discrimination is a good thing for human beings to have. You need to be able to discriminate.
I agree with that.
The question is, what are you discriminating on? Obviously, race and sexuality and gender we don't want people discriminating on those categories. This guy's doing it on a political category. It's still wrong, but I'm not calling for the death penalty.
Yeah, but the political category is his thinking process. Again, I won't call him an abject moron, but this thinking process is abjectly moronic. Conservatives, economically speaking, you want less government regulation. You don't want the tyranny of a government being able to invent the fact that marijuana is a Category 1 drug when it clearly doesn't fit the description, and then force an underground economy instead of legalizing it and taxing it and allowing the marketplace to work. Like Jeffcoat, who thinks he's against government tyranny, I suppose, is actually promoting it here. His understanding of what's even liberal or conservative is mistaken.
We're out of time, but I am just baffled that he put this in writing, knowing that it could potentially go public.
I said suspension first. I would consider firing, but I emphasize suspension first.
Mike Jeffcoat, by the way, was an MLB pitcher from '83 to '94. Will, thank you for being with us. We'll see you on radio later, 3 to 6 Eastern, The Will Cain Show. Make sure to check him out. Max's final take deals with Andrew Luck and a team that he says should trade for him. And up next, Kirk Cousins up for grabs in free agency, but should the Redskins be getting something for him? First take coming right back.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing?
Kevin here says Mobile One annual protection is